Hi everybody and welcome back to 2BeLikeChrist. In today's video, who's to blame for modesty issues in the church? As the summer rolls around again, we're starting to hear and see on Facebook more discussions about Christian modesty, what Christians should and shouldn't wear. And I don't necessarily want to get in on that debate. There's plenty of people with a lot of good information about what they believe is modest and what isn't. I'm lost in the jungle. What I really want to deal with is a discussion within that debate, and that's a discussion of who's responsible for dealing with the modesty problem. You see, on one hand, a lot of times you'll have, let's just pin it on the women for now. Let's say the women will come to a man and she will say, I struggle with sexual temptation, and so you need to change what you're wearing in order to help me. But on the other hand, the man will come to the woman and he will say, well, that's not my problem. You need to get your mind right before God because ultimately you're going to be judged, and so it doesn't matter what I wear, it's a problem with your head. And the gender roles can be reversed in that situation just as easily. So what you have in that instance is just blame pushing. One group is pushing the blame on the other group is pushing the blame on them, and no one wants to change or make any adjustments to help anybody out. It's the idea that it's your problem and I don't want you infringing on my freedom just because you have an issue. The problem with blame pushing is that I think it comes from a very un-Christ-like spirit. If the church really is a family and we really do call each other's brothers and sisters because that's what we believe that we are, and we're actually trying to help each other get to heaven, this discussion doesn't make sense in light of that reality. Because there's a selfishness that's involved with blame pushing. And within a family, if you're really trying to love and to help the other person, that selfishness isn't going to be there. The blame doesn't belong exclusively in one camp. If we really are a family, then we should be willing to make sacrifices to help the people that we love do what God wants them to do. And so I think the better way to approach this difficult situation is to work together rather than apart. The Bible doesn't say for Christians to bear one another's burdens for no reason. If you are a brother or a sister who struggles with viewing your fellow brothers or sisters in a sexual, lustful way, then you do have a very real responsibility to purify your thoughts. On the flip side, if you're a brother or a sister who is approached by another fellow Christian, and that fellow Christian says to you, you know, I really have a hard time when you wear such and such article of clothing. Would it be possible for you to not wear that to help me? How could our response not be, sure, I'll be happy to help you in any way that I can? It's the devil that we're warring against. It's not other Christians, and I think sometimes we forget that. And so in an effort to fight the battle against sin, we've got to help each other out. There may not be anything inherently wrong with what you're wearing. The Apostle Paul discusses things that are lawful to him, that he has the liberty to do, but they may not be the best thing to do in every situation. And so when a brother or sister approaches you and asks you to help them out, maybe with a particular piece of clothing, although you may feel that you have the liberty to wear that, or that there's nothing inherently wrong with wearing what you're wearing, it may not be the best thing to do. And Paul was willing to make sacrifices to help the people that he loved make it to heaven, and we should be too. I think there's a lot to be said about the way that we approach the people who we go to about issues of modesty, no matter what side we're on, right? Some people go to them in accusatory ways and they say, you shouldn't wear that, you're a sinner, you're causing people to stumble. And then on the other side of the aisle, we have people saying, well, get your mind right, you sinner. If your mind was pure, you wouldn't have this problem. And that's just not the way to go. If we approach people that way, we're going to immediately put them onto the defensive, and they're not going to want to listen to anything that we have to say, and they're not going to want to help us out. But if we go to people with a request for help for our soul, then I think people will be much more willing to be of assistance. And you know, one thing that never happens in the church that I think could really help would be for maybe just for men to write down some of the things that they struggle with, and women to write down some of the things that they struggle with, and then maybe present those to the congregation, or maybe have a discussion about them and help people help each other. As a man, I have a really hard time understanding what women are attracted to, and it may open up my perspective if I was able to hear from those women in a constructive way about what I could do to help them and help their souls. In the same way, it's probably hard for women sometimes to understand what men are attracted to because they're not attracted to that. So a great discussion, I think, would do the church a lot of benefit. So my plea is, let's not stand on one side or the other and put all responsibility exclusively in one camp or all in the other camp. There's responsibility to be shared on both sides, and if we can have a constructive discussion about what we can do to help our brothers and sisters go to heaven, the church will be in a much better spot, and the issue of modesty that is so divisive in our culture, I think that's a word, divisive, whatever, can be done away with, I think, almost entirely if we have hearts and souls that care about other people and are interested in getting them to heaven with us. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments, comment down below.